Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Sunday, May 21st, 2017, and let's get started with what we were working on last time. So, yeah, so basically we were trying to work on an art style. I wasn't too happy with it. it's one of those things that looks like it might be good, but chances are it won't be. So we might end up, you know, going back a little bit on it, but we still need to be guided by our previous, what's the word, ideas. I know there's something there. We're just gonna hone in on what it is. And again, it'd be easier if we had concept art and stuff like that, but we don't. So this is kind of the idea that I'm thinking of. If you're just joining the project, right? So many tabs. Oh, you haven't seen the worst of it. Let's actually see how many tabs there are. This one's only 31 tabs. Offloaded audio at 53. Useful reference has 28. So if you look at them, I mean, like, there's a lot of ones there. Actually, I should get rid of most of that because it's not really relevant anymore. Anyway, I should probably get rid of that too. This is something similar to what I was thinking of as well, but yeah. It says all this in a environment's kind of like this. I think the audio volume might be weird. Oh, it's a little bit high. Okay. Okay then. Right, so let's get into this. So where we stopped last time, we had this sort of thing. Still got a lot of stuff to do, like we need to do the UVs on it. But I'm starting to see this as a little bit more like it's not gonna work. First off, it takes a while for us to do this. But I mean, effort is not something I really have to concern myself too much with. But if I'm putting effort into something that I'm not exactly liking, then, you know. The idea, of course, is that there's these metal objects and metal tiles that float above whatever landscape I create. That was kind of always the idea. So I'm thinking of having the metal tiles kind of float over something like this. I didn't want to copy the voxel art style directly, so I was trying to find some way of making it a little bit more personalized, and I like bevels typically, so I was trying to do bevel boxes. I probably made the bevels a little too large. The size was chosen because of light mapping. I was doing pixel counting for how much textures it would need for any given amount of voxels, which would then give me an idea how many light maps I would need, and how to break it up. So we calculated that this entire chessboard grid could be done with 1024 by 1024. But we didn't because we forgot to pack the light maps. I do like the lighting profile of this though. I like how the gold and all that stuff is turning out. Very vibrant. So I like the lighting. Would like to go a bit more like this though. So as long as we keep our world size, like world relative size, to a regular amount, we don't actually need a geometry inside here. As a matter of fact, we can do things like parallax. Parallax offset, but I'm trying to think of what the actual last one is. I think it's parallax offset material. I think it's POM, P-O-M. Mapping? Mapping, that's right, yeah. So if we do that, we can make the world relative size, even though it's flat, appear to have grooves and notches in it. It'll break down corners a little bit, but that doesn't necessarily matter. Unless I want to have the objects be kind of framed. So instead of having like this, where the voxels are just plain, if we have the edges have some sort of like metal frame around them, as I was, just said, then there's two things I would do. First off, we would not worry about the parallax occlusion getting screwed up because the frame would be, inside. So there'd always be a wall to, interfere. Or you can even possibly use full displacement in that case. I'm not sure whether full displacement or parallax occlusion would actually be better. So we'll try one or the other. But then we could just have the various details being cut in, and have actual occlusion from one of the two methods. Okay, I'm saying that wrong. So basically, my knuckles, like the lines between my fingers, they do self-occlude a little bit based on the angle. That's what parallax offset gives you. The thought that a raised bit of a surface looks like it can self-occlude. So like, let's say fins on a radiator, or the area between my fingers, even though they're right next to each other. You could model that roughly with a flat surface and a material that varies its texture and its how it looks based on the angle slightly. It's been a trick that they've been using since Unreal Engine 3. However, it got a little bit better in this recent one. Bump offset was what they used to use, but now parallax occlusion is a lot better. As a matter of fact, I even downloaded. Oh, gets some message in. Huh, okay. I was getting a message in Hip Chat, but Hex Chat, but I don't see Hip Chat. I've been using that for a while. Hex Chat, but I don't see which channel it's for. So if I'm missing a message, sorry about that. Right. So let's go into content examples. That's what it was. Okay, now we're gonna open level. That would be parallax occlusion mapping. There we are. So this is what I mean by that. So let's actually expand the editor window. So these are just flat surfaces, and if we switch to wireframe mode, you can even see that. But if we go into lit mode, the material is actually making it look like it dips down into the floor. That's just occlusion. That's just parallax effect. That's not actually the case. The surface itself is flat. Bump offset was... what was the example of bump offsets? I don't think it was that one. Ah, there it is. So the original node bump offsets, can't remember which one was which. Static mesh component, but it's not. Because that one's bump offset. Parallax, there we are. So bump offset swimming. Doesn't look like bump offset to me. It looks like parallax occlusion that had a broken sample setting, but apparently it is. So this is what the correct one should look like. Anyway, moving back. This gives you a bunch of ideas of how to solve and fix it. So let's go here. Oh right, because it's yeah, not angle. I have to do that angle in here. I'll show you a number of steps that the parallax occlusion material is taking, and with each step it's doing a different level. So I'm explaining it wrong, but basically the more steps you have, the better it looks flat on. But if you're looking at it straight down pretty much, then you need less samples for that. So if we raise the number of samples to 32, then you'll see the effect look a little bit more correct, but also let's see if we can actually see if it's actually fast enough. So stat FPS. So we're still hitting around 110 FPS. In 8 we're probably gonna hit 120. Oh, no, it didn't really hit that much. Let's do 128. It still is going pretty good. Okay, so 512 really hits it. So we're starting to see some frame rate dips at 128. But I mean, also it's like... Oh, I guess if we go full screen, it'd be harder. What am I working on today? So we've been working on the art style the last few episodes. I'm kind of wanting something like this in a virtual space like this. So we're kind of looking now at how to use, for example, parallax occlusion mapping or something to do it. What we currently have is this. For the chessboard level, I'm not exactly much of a fan of how it looks, though, so we're going to be changing it. And I'll show you once it finishes loading, of course. I do like how the lighting affects the metal materials, though. That looks pretty good. So this is the material here. So we see the world is kind of contained in this kind of voxel-ish, beveled voxel grid. And then there's this plate of the chessboard in this case that comes down for the chessboard level. And on top of that, the metal occurs. So if you see that in actual game, which we need to start a game to see. This is what it looks like in game now. Let's play a game, why not? You like the voxel-based design? Okay. I'm gonna get the quick kill. because I know the AI does when it starts like this. All I can do is kill with the king, and boom. I win. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done before this gets to be a sellable game, of course, but it's getting close to an itch.io. If you haven't been here for a while, I'm also going to show you another level we have. We have a couple levels. This one is a 11 by 11 grid where every 10 moves it gets smaller. The lighting has not been updated for this yet, so we're visually we're working on the chessboard level, so we're not gonna port that stuff back yet. As you can tell, everything kind of looks a bit weird. Like the blue's not really a good color of blue and stuff like that. But it's also kind of dark. So the idea of this map is, and the AI doesn't know this because it's not been programmed for that yet, but the goal of this map is to control center. Because once you get in these disabled areas here, then, well, you're pretty good. Because if they can't get in, then they're eventually just going to die when the level shrinks. Should be another couple of moves. I think 3 more moves. So I have 2 kings, each spawn has 2 kings. I can assign as many spawns to whatever team as I want. It could be 4 on 4, 3 on 5, or whatever. And there we go. I guess I was off by 1 move. Anyway, yeah, so now that row has been destroyed. We just gotta keep going until either only 1 player survives, if any, or see some ground a little bit. Like, if this was the end game, I would have won right here. Everyone's on the end tile, but it's not, so they're gonna get some more chances to move. The idea behind Check It is basically that every level has a series of tiles that kind of floats over it, and the pieces are, you know, are like standing on the tiles. Whereas everything is kind of like a, you know, an actual world otherwise. Actually wonder what would happen if I move these disabled tiles 1 out. Can I destroy their beasts in the game mode? Yeah. That's actually the goal. The thing is that kings only move 1, so you can't move into range of something and eat them before they have a chance to respond. So you have to jockey it such that they can't physically move anywhere but in range of your king. But if I wanted to like move it here, then, you know, green would have a chance of killing me, and I'd kill it back. Green does know about the trade, so it might avoid me if I do that. But, yeah. So you have to get in a good position where you force them to, you know, react or die, right? There we are. Now we're down to that little bit there. So now this is kind of screwed up, so I have to kind of move back. Otherwise I can see that position and one of the three over there would have got me. But yeah, you can capture them if they get in range of you because they have no other move. It's actually forced that to happen. I may end up losing as a result, but... Okay, well... I'm either going to trade. Okay, they move by the way. Yeah, they're stock explosions, so... So I might end up losing like this, but yeah. I'm going to play a little bit dangerously. So now blue has nothing they can do besides moving to range of me eating them. Although I could end up losing that way if the ring destroys at the end of this turn. Not to mention I gave up center. No, I'm fine. Okay. Seems to always want to avoid not trade. I've put in that position where I could trade twice and it didn't do anything. And now I'm pretty much guaranteed to win. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna win just if I let the time runs out, but I'm trying to see if there's some way I can capture it so I can actually kill them. Huh. Like this is gonna be a trade. Yeah, that's kind of the idea, right? It's designed to be a niche kind of gimmicky map. But a gimmick can be fun. Right? A gimmick doesn't necessarily mean bad. So I'm forcing it to not be able to move anywhere besides this end ring, so in like a move or two it's going to die. Because it's going to move there, there, or there, and I'm killing all three, right? There we are. So the idea is each map's going to have its own little feel. Hey Tron, 1989. Welcome to the chat. So they're all kind of have that way. No thanks. Right. So now we need to figure out some way of doing that. So our current art style is like this. I'm thinking having like a metal frame there, 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 and there, and having all of this be material, which means the bevel will be a bit smaller together and it's closer together, because the one thing I'm concerned about is that the voxels aren't going to be all the same size. If I want to have extra detail in certain areas, I want to be able to have, you know, voxels different sizes. If you have irregular patterns overlapping, then you'll have voxels kind of floating in the gap above the other one. I don't think that will look good. Unless... actually look at something very weird. No. Oh, there's another mode where it was kind of like companion cube almost. Oh, here. What do people think about this sort of style for the boxes? So the voxels look kind of like this. I mean, clearly they have some problems with how it overlaps with their attempt at doing perspective and orthographic mixed together. Nice and simple. Yeah. And it does give a bit of interesting usage, or interesting detail there. That'd be fairly easy to replicate in 3D, because, I mean, they're trying to replicate 3D to begin with. Well, I just noticed something. Their attempt at orthographic perspective actually isn't even consistent. Because they, you know, the perspective line. If I can zoom in there. Perspective line here doesn't match the same depth as this here. I mean, what can you blame? You can't really blame them. It's a Super Nintendo game, right? Yeah, I could see that being a possible angle. One thing I would like to have, though, is the ability to control the exact color of each voxel, if not have some sort of randomization to it. So which means we need to have some value enter the material from any given triangular face. Because even if I, like, over here need to, you know, extend out, like, have, I guess it'd have to be the same. So to be able to target any given value, I need to have some way of getting data into the material that would pull from that that value. It could be a vertex value, it could be a height value, it could be the individual triangles have different materials, it could be a texture. All of them have pros and cons. The obvious con of having different materials would be draw calls, because you'd be multiplying your draw calls. But the downside of a texture is you have to UV map everything in specific ways and then have the texture align with that, right? Which could get difficult if you're just doing arbitrary levels. There might be other ways you can get data in, though. I mean, there's vertex colors and stuff like that, but yeah. Okay. But anyway, if each building blocks end up looking like, not this, look like this. Close it down. Where you have kind of smooth frame and maybe a rough center to each voxel, however large a voxel will be, that could work. Who would have thought that my design inspiration would come from Super Scope 6? At least the one I'm working on right now. Oh, someone messaged me. Oh, someone's asking about solar eclipse. Okay, right. I mean, there's plenty of ways we can do that. A lot. The easiest way would be like a normal map of some sort. Either way, these would just be the values of whatever the landscape is. The tiles will still have their own material and they'll be floating above it. Okay, so either way, we need to get into Blender because we need to do some work today. Okay. Actually open up. Yeah, it's open up. Environments. One B. Then we'll do a save as voxel 2A. So the reason why I'm doing this is not for any specific, geometry. It's so I can have the world set up correctly. So let's just delete all this. And we're down to 0 triangles because, well, that's what happens when you have 0 triangles. There we are. 0, 0, 0. Even though it doesn't exactly matter because we're going to be baking anyway. So let's start designing our high detail mesh. High detail. Let's do mode inset face. That's all I'm trying to do. Is that right? I don't think so. I can't tell if it's doing what I want to or not. It doesn't look like it. Wondering why it's creating these weird fake edges inside. Oh, I see what's trying to do. Is that a good enough frame, or do we want 15 centimeters? Depth. Let's do 15 to 15. I say it's probably pretty good. Okay. Okay, so we'll leave that. Now we're going to grab. Let's go back into perspective mode. Let's grab this. Let's get our movement widget up. Go to that, and then when we have snap online, there we are. There we are. There's probably a better way of doing it if I'm not able to think of it right now. So we're just gonna do it this way. Pretty sure there's a command that just does that. Anyway, so extrude down 15 centimeters. Actually, want to do less than that. Let's do 5 centimeters. We'll look at it in solid mode and with there we are. So we do that. So we're gonna look at this. We're gonna also have it be over here. We still have the same problem if we have these blocks stacked on top of each other, where they kind of look like it's a gap. Check in rendered mode. Sorry if it's gonna drop my frames here. Okay. Oops, and I also have my material there. So I really want to have something that would fit, different sized voxels. Unless we just settle on a single size voxel for each level, because again, it'll be a material effect at that point, so we don't care. And just deal with it like that. That could work. Although we wouldn't be able to do effects like this then, where the sign and the sign, the fence, and the ground doesn't match up. Or maybe I'm just thinking of something a little too complicated, right? Maybe I'm thinking too complicated. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Let's do segments 4. Yeah, this looks rendered. Oh, unless we have it come back up again. So the frame is just kind of a dip that goes up, like knuckle. Well, fingers. So in which case we're going to undo this. We're going to grab this face here, and we're going to inset... What? Here. No, I actually want to go here. Crap, did it wrong. So, inset faces. Okay. Have the thickness be Or depth be 0, but the thickness be 5 centimeters. Then we'll go and extrude up and have this in line with that there. We're gonna grab an edge mode. In edge mode, there we are. Again, we're not really sure if what we're doing is correct, but, you know. Only way I know is to try, right? So we're gonna do a bevel. Alright, yeah. That was gonna be 2.5. Which will make it line up correctly there. And let's see what this looks like in rendered mode. Is this better or worse? This is probably a step down. Oh, hello. That's a problem. Oh, wait. No, it's not. It's perspective. Okay. That makes sense. See here. Probably best if we look at it from this angle too, because this is going to be the angle we look at it from in game. Just the top, not the bottom. It's gonna be cut off. This is very difficult. Try this here. And then around individual origins, scale 0.5. Okay. So if that's the case, we're going to delete that. We're going to do you, lose all edges. Oh wait. Edge collapse. There we are. I do want to come up to the same height though for the overlapping, so I do want to go up to here. So that would look fine. Keep in mind our goal is to eventually look kind of like this. To fit in this art style. Oh, the plant's another voxel size as well. It's the other one. Okay. So now I gotta learn how to, oops, first off we're gonna take it off to a normal material. Now I gotta learn how to do baking in Blender. Blender bake heights map. Okay, bake, mode displacement. Check moves over here. So we're gonna save current level as old to battle chessboard. As long as you don't say final, it's fine. Not tempting fate. There we are. Okay. So I need to get a plane that is that size. Okay. So in object mode, add mesh plane. Boom, boom, boom. So apparently 2 meters by 2 meters, 2 meters, and up 1 meter we find. So now I need to do it unwrap, so I believe that's right. So here we see that. If we get rid of that, then it's just a full UV space. That's good. Okay. Zero margin, correct aspect. I believe it's scale 0, right? Yeah, scale 1, I mean. Okay. Okay, so then we need to go into here, and then go into our UV editor. We need to create a new image. What size we want to make this? Probably 512 would be plenty. And it'll be voxel height map. I could probably just draw it in Photoshop too, but you know, have it be accurate to Blender here. Okay. Then we're going to go into our bake settings of the render tab. It's not normal, it's maybe normal for now, I guess. So we go here. What? No active image, really? Should be bake mode displacement, but it doesn't seem to be the case here. Oh, I'm in the wrong... Oh, I'm probably in the wrong renderer. Let's try this in Blender render. Displacement. So let's see here. Let's try this again. So distance was 5, I think. 0.05. Because we're in meters. So 0.1 just in case. Okay, so there we are, onto that. There we are. So now we can drop it down to 0.1. Oh, it's I guess it's in centimeters or something. Yeah. So here we have the final map of that. Okay. I was originally thinking having a frame around all the voxels and have go inside, but after I did, saw this, I figured I might as well try to have them individual and not have a frame around the outside. So now we have this texture here. Oh, sorry. I showed this here. And have this instead of a frame around. Now we have a texture here, though. We can apply that to our material to make it appear. Yeah. Actually, quickly check something here. Doesn't get fully black. I think this is the one with the correct amount of contrast. Yeah. Should be good. Okay. So now what we need is save the file here. So if we then do image, save as image, you can then find a good place to put it. Actually, it already found a place there. Voxel height map, 01A. So now we can go into Unreal Engine. And we'll open up the normal battle chessboard. And before we start messing around with this, we're actually going to create a, well, one thing we do is we need to copy the texture into the content folder so the Unreal Engine can even see it, right? Copy textures, paste. There we are. Let's like import. Let's go on textures. Voxel height map here. Oh, the LOD, okay. I was looking at the wrong thing there. Okay, we'll do a save there. And now we're going to do one more thing as well. We're going to create a new image. We could probably use the same image, whatever. And we'll do a normals. Probably tangent space is good. There we go, bake. And there we are. Now we got our normal map, which will be useful. Before we do much more with this, let's actually see what we can even do with this. So here, back to the cycles render. We're gonna hide you. Would parallax offset even really help us here? Probably. Parallax occlusion, sorry. Yeah, a little bit. See a bit of, yeah. Actually, even better. Here. We set the Z rotation to that. Insert keyframe. And then 250, why not? We'll do 720. Insert keyframes. Yeah, we're getting enough occlusion on the inside there to matter. See, like over here, the inside rim and the outside rim switch places. So you see that. Okay. Let's go out of here. Okay. So now when we apply this to a... well, I need to actually save that out. Save as image. Also normal map. Folder. So now Unreal Engine's gonna be like, hey, what's going on? Okay. It detected as a normal map. Now, if we want to actually make it a material mask, we can then go into Photoshop and do something kind of fun. So let's actually do that. Actually, trying to think of first whether I want to show it in Unreal Engine without any fun stuff, or if I want to do it in Photoshop first. Let's do Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up masking it such that the frame is metal, but the inside is whatever the color we want. So we're going to do a new... It's going to be 512 by 512. I could have done a higher resolution texture, especially since it's going to be reused so often, but honestly, are we going to really get close enough to a voxel to see more than 512 by 512 pixels? That's pretty high res. Okay, so now we're going to here. Open with, let's do open with here, sure, why not? So grab you, click, there. So one thing we know is that the boundary between the metal material, which I'm going to have be this first rim here, and the internal material is right there. So if we just fill in one with white, one with black, we can mask out, you know, the areas that are metal and not metal. So I'm going to create a new layer on top of this, and I'm going to probably the easiest way to do it is just to I'll have to miss one on each side. Okay. There we are. So I'm gonna fill this in with black. So pure black. I'm gonna do a fill. I actually could have just done pure black. And then below that, I'm going to do a select all, fill, or fill here with pure white. I know what I'm doing, I promise. There we are. So now at the bottom of the dip, we're going to have the transition between one and the other. So we're going to export as that. And now I'm going to, again, hide my camera while I save. I'll hide my desktop when I save it. Okay. Content, textures. So here we are. Instead of voxel normal map, we're going to have it be voxel metal mask, or frame mask. Frame mask map. Okay, there we are. What? Okay, it was a new one. Sure. And this guy here is going to be grayscale. There's neighbor. Save. There we are. Okay. So we have the height map, the normal map, and the mask. So now we need to make a new material. New material. Test. Sorry. M test voxel. Okay, so we're going to have to expose a couple of variables to control tiling. But yeah, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a material that when we apply it to any object based on world position, it will be able to apply that top-down effect to it. So that way we don't need to actually create all the geometry in the level for each voxel. It'll just be flat surfaces that will bump in according to the normal map that we apply. As a matter of fact, in the normal map, I may even want to add a bit of variance here to make it look kind of rough like this. Or maybe not. Maybe I want to do that in the color and the diffuse, right? Anyway, so yeah. So then we start importing stuff. So here we're going to use a texture voxel frame mask. We also need to create a couple of parameters. Do I want to do it like that, or do I want to have it be scalars? I'll make them separate scalars. Sure, why not? So, parameter, scalar parameter. Parameter name's gonna be voxel size. It'll be probably rectangle. Yeah, I should make it always rectangle, so that'll be fine. Or always a square, I mean, so that should be fine. Default value, we'll have it be yeah, might as well add that little note there for can't see. The voxel size is centimeter, so that way I know when I set that value, I'm always going to be in centimeters, so I don't have to try to remember in the future what was that value again. Let's have the default value be 50 centimeters. Sure, why not? From 0 to 200. Let's go from 5 to 200. Sure, why not? So each voxel default will be 5 centimeters, and we just need to make the math out here work such that it will always tile on world offset, you know, that value. We also probably want to have offset x, or u, centimeters, and then probably from 1 to 200. Let's do from 0 to 200. Default value is 0. Then offset v. Centimeters. And the idea behind this is if for some reason we create an object, and it should be aligned with the, so like, you know, if our voxels are 5 centimeters, the voxel edges should be 0, 5, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You won't have it in the middle, but in case I do, I want to have these parameters to set it up so I can shift the texture such that it fits properly. That's basically what I'm trying to do right now. So now I need to think of how all this stuff is going to go together. Right. So the idea behind this is each unit's going to have... Let's actually just grab all my textures I need. What have I been doing? Voxel. Normal map. Show you grayscale sample there. So normal. And then here we are. Voxel. Type map. Grayscale. There we are. So these three objects here will, textures here, will be the basis of our material. So what I want is I want the stuff in the black here to be essentially one material and the stuff in the white to be essentially another material. And it will be switched based on the result of this. And then the results will be connected to the map here. So one thing I want is to have the outside be metallic and the inside be diffuse, or be non-metallic. I believe the best word for it is dielectric, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I promise I have a physics degree. Yeah, so from there... we'll split that off, and then we'll attach the result for each pixel that we render to the correct value. Because again, as we were saying earlier, when I was thinking about HDR. Wow, I really am not thinking well today. PBR, physically based rendering, is that it will always be, like, you can represent everything from plastic to metal in one material. You just need to assign the correct number to it. So if you want to have gold and plastic on the same object, you don't need two materials for it. You can use the one material, and you just have a texture force you one way or the other. And based on the results of those textures, it would point to whatever you need. This is the sort of thing I'd actually probably be a bit more comfortable with creating a custom shader node like we did last time. Not last time, like we did a while ago in HLSL. Although that wouldn't work in GLSL like we're using right now. To assign to do the mapping correctly. But it's better to use it in the visual scripting system, so that way Unreal Engine can do all the optimizations and stuff it needs to do. Because if it looks into your code, it doesn't know what it's doing. If it looks into your flow, like your flow chart, it knows how to condense flow charts, right? So, because it made it, right? So what do we need to do? Let's try looking in Notepad. So we want metallic objects. In white part of mask. What color do we want for the metal? Bunch of possible options. We don't want to really confuse with the tiles, so we probably want to avoid copper. Gold would be fine, except that might confuse a little bit with the pieces, but we're using all possible. We're using a bunch of different colors for metal anyway, so we're going to be confusing with some team somewhere. Interesting thought. And then non-metallic in black part of mask. all textures tile the same by the same UV. We don't need to worry much about UV unwrapping the objects we place in the scene if we use BSP or whatever, because then it's just... it's rectangles, right? They're boxes. As long as they align, you know, to the voxel period, then they're fine. And the reason why we had the offset, so if we have the edge, like on the edge of this here, like, let's say on the edge of this thing here, we don't end up having, like, this edge be somewhere in the middle of the face, right? So we can kind of shift this that way it's on the edge. Then it's just a matter of making sure that the objects we use, either by BSP or by importing it from Blender. Importing it from Blender is probably a bit better for performance. Well, not performance, but it would be easier to deal with if we had them move, right? Moving BSPs. Can BSPs move in Unreal Engine 4? I think I've done it before, but I don't remember. Don't remember if I just imported from Blender, or in that case, sometimes Maya. Back when I used Maya. Unreal Engine 3. I think everything had to be a mesh. I don't think I've ever had to use a BSP as a mover. I mean, almost always I rarely use BSP. I usually just import it from Blender or Maya, but today's harder to think than I thought it would be. Anyway, regardless, we're making progress, so can't miss success, I guess. But yeah. So now we need to think of the math for this here. So one UV tile is 0 to 1, right? Not -1 to 1, +1. Zero to 1. I should know that much. Yeah. Anyway, the UVs should be 0 to 1. What am I talking about? So the math we have is we get world position, absolute world position, input data. So we need to make the absolute world position map to 0 to 1, so we'd be basically dividing by voxel size, and then offsetting by the amount. Well, we'd be doing the offset, then we'd do the divide. So, can we just do a math node? Like just a generic math formula? I thought we were able to do, I know we're able to do in blueprints, but I thought we were able to do in material editor as well. So UE4 math node, math expression node here. That's in blueprints. Or Or we'll do it in the variable in the material. No, guess not. Okay, so we need to get the absolute world position. Then we need to offset it by our offset. Then we need to divide by voxel size. That'll get us from centimeters into 0 to 1 space. And then that will be our UV. So, so split components. Oh, right, we need to do it in UV, and we have 3 corners. Okay, so we know everything's going to be axis aligned, so we should be able to have U and V. And again, everything's going to be, you know, rotationally symmetric at 9 degrees and stuff, so we can do some stuff with the normal, but do we need to go through all that normal math if we can just do a distance or something? So what I'm thinking is, because I'm doing two components, right? What I was thinking was, since we don't care about which size it is, we should make sure it's the correct period. If there was some way we can do it with the distance, so that way if the edge, if the face goes this way, then as long as we're one, you know, distance across, and that tiles, and that should be fine. And the the orientation will be independent. But is that this case, or do we need to actually go through some vector math? I think we need to do some vector math because we still need to separate between U and V to get a specific UV coordinate. Even though they're at the same period, we can't just, you know, we can't just drive it from a scalar. We still need to drive it from a 2D vector. Okay. I'm guessing RGB is XYZ. So I guess RGB is XYZ. I think I do divide, but I thought there was a reciprocal, like 1 over. There's 1 minus, but... Because 1 over is typically faster, right? 1 divided by x, material. Is there a node for reciprocal? That's not right. Whatever, I'll use divide. What's nays 1. Not really care about that. Okay, so here we're going to, see if we can get the, normal. So normal. So now we need to figure out some way to get the yeah. How do we do that? So with a normal, actually go into Photoshop for this. Should be good. Actually, you know what? Let's get rid of that. Let's create a bigger image. Over here, let's try to do a okay. Let's see here. So we need to we have an arbitrary plane, and we get the normal vector here. We want to find kind of this thing here. We know it's axis aligned, so we because it's gonna be voxels, right? So we just need to find the component that is and we don't care about either of these here. I'm gonna poke my other monitor, right? That's a good idea, Scott. Okay, we don't care about either which one's U or which one's V because it's symmetric. Because all voxels are gonna be square, we don't have to worry about rectangles. We just need to make sure that one of them is U, one of them's V, and the other one is normal. And normal we don't use. So an easy way of doing that is to test x, y, and z. And if, in that order, let's say, if x is the normal, skip it, and y will be u and z will be v. If x is not the normal, then x will be u, test y. If y is u, sorry, if y is normal, make z v. If it isn't, make y v. That's one quick and easy way of doing axis aligned. That being said, it's also if statements, which are not too fun for shaders. Actually, it won't really matter all that much. Yeah, it won't matter all that much because if statements only cost you if you diverge. So as long as, like, it will matter on the boundaries, but on a single face, all pixels in the warp or wavefront, whatever you want to call it, depends on which. I don't even know what Intel calls it. I know NVIDIA is warp, AMD is wavefront. Intel, I can't remember. I used to know that. Intel GPU warp or wavefront. What do they call them? Okay, 7 hardware threads per EU. Each hardware thread is capable of executing 8, 16 or 32 work items. What do they call it? Workgroup is what they call it in OpenCL, but what was... I'm pretty sure Intel named it. I thought they named it the same as AMD, just for one reason or another. Can't remember. Whatever. Small point. So that's one easy way of doing it, is just, you know, map X, Y, or Z based on the branch. If there was one simple vector operation that we could do to make it easier, then that would be a different story. But we need to make it axis aligned too, because we don't want to have it offset by 40, or we don't want to rotate it right around the normal. But since we're axis aligned, it doesn't matter. So probably the best idea is dot x with normal if 1 u equals y, v equals z, else else dot y with normal or if normal. Z equals V equals Z, else V equals Y. That's one way of doing it. It might be the only way. Well, not the only. That might be the only the good way of doing it. We'll see. So we gotta do if. All right, we have to deal with these things, right? And dot product. I guess it's an alias or the same thing, sure. If and B is 1. Let's do 0.99. So if A is greater than B, so if A is, you know, it's aligned. And then we're going to have vector parameter constant 3 vector 1 0 0. So if it's 1, then where did our message go? Oh, over here. Move over this on water, I guess. Then U equals V and so we don't have local variables. Actually, do we? Did they add that at some point? Maybe for local variable. Material editor. I guess we can make a macro for local variable macro. Yeah. Okay. Duplicate, so I don't have to grab it from all here. Oh, I can just do equals. And equals threshold. Well, we can actually drop it down quite a bit here. Because they're axis aligned, right? Then here, comment, normal is test is normal x. Probably something I'm doing pointlessly, but yeah, test is normal y. Not sure if I need it normal again after this. Trying to think of how I would do it such that this is all stuff I'm pretty sure I've solved before at some point. Seems like pretty basic stuff, but brain's not working. Here. Again, this is stuff that would be very easy to write out, like HLSL or GSL. Just make a function for it, but I'm trying to think of how I do it in a material editor. I'm trying to reduce the a world position to a UV coordinate based on the normal. We don't really care all that much about what U and what V is, because it's square and all that sort of stuff. We just have to make sure that it's not in the angle of the normal, because then the texture would just be stretched to infinity. You just have a 1D slice of it. Or, yeah, a 1D slice of it. So this outputs I think one if true and two if false, so a UE4 material editor if. Oh, that's the thing here. Okay. I gotcha. Yeah, okay. That's the part that's confusing me. So in the event that A is greater than B, then we're going to output yeah, just a 1. we're gonna map it to one or zero. Actually, we don't even need the if statement anyway. Because our axis aligned, it's going to be, I'm just clamping it at that point. Okay. So I need whether this is a 1 or a 0 to do a round. That'll be the same thing as the if statement, just a lot quicker. Now I need to think of how to convert that into a yeah. So I can do a linear interp. Linear interpolates based on this output here. So if this is 1, we're going to have some vector for that. So much easier if I just had to be able to type it out, right? Yeah. My brain just doesn't work so well. I mean, if you've been watching Check It for a while, you probably know that. My brain just doesn't really work well in the visual flowchart systems. I prefer just writing it down line by line. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, if we are in the x, like if the normal is in the x direction, then I want u to be y and v to be z. And then from there we divide by the period. Well, from there we actually offset by v or u, whatever one it is, and then we divide by the period. And that will get us, based on any world position coordinate on a face, what the UV position will map to for that, period. The question is how to make that conversion happen from XYZ into UV. We can pluck it out so we see whether it is in line with any given axis or not. But how would we then convert that to take the other two? Using material editor is difficult to think. I can think of how to do that in code. So let's actually write up pseudocode for it and see about that, and then we can. Actually, we're 15 minutes over. Wow. Yeah, I'll go a little bit longer, I think. So, if x is greater, x, n dot x is greater than. No, I only have a little bit left. Is greater than equals 1. But doing this without creating any extra materials or any extra variables is kind of interesting. It's so easy from a function standpoint of inputs to outputs, right? Like, well, here, you'd just have, you know, some inputs, and then, I just had it in my head like 3 seconds ago. What's going on? So we're trying to input an XYZ coordinate and output a UV coordinate. So we're trying to input the position and output UV modulo 0 to 1. Oh, okay, so what we can do is we can have this baked down into that for all 3 cases, and then we'll do 2 lerps, sorry. Okay, let's try this here. Break out coordinates. Color. Is it again? Okay. Okay. Mask. Mask, this would be G and B. R and B, I mean. And then a mask here. G and B. Okay, so we got, okay, so I'm in this now. So we're gonna be throwing out the Z if I'll show you actually backwards here. We're gonna throw out X if this is valid. Okay, so let's just get this up here. So if this is 1, so LERP does B if 1, right? Yeah, 1. So if this is 1, we're going to want the UV to be this guy here. So that would be U is Y and V is Z here. Otherwise, we're going to linear interpolate between these two values. So if so it'd be RZ if this is true, or RG if it's not. Or sorry, RB if it's true, and RG if it's not. That was entirely too hard. Okay. Okay, so what's happening here is we're going to get a 2 vector out of this based on whether... Oh, we don't have to do the... Yeah, because... Yeah. So if it's aligned with the x-axis, we're going to get a 2D vector of GB. If not, we're going to get either a 2D vector of RG if of RB if y is aligned with normal. Otherwise, we're going to get RG. So this route node is UV unmodified. Okay. Convert world position into UV coordinates. Not including voxel, period, or offset. Okay. And I can avoid that. And I can move these down. Oops. Here. So now we have this UV coordinate that is still in centimeters and still not divided by the voxel size or multiplied by the reciprocal of the voxel size. So we're going to have to do here break out to two components and then do add thanks Unreal Engine for really helping people to there's no way you can make these line up. Okay, that's interesting. Sure. So we're gonna add the offset here, and then here. Route node here. Route node here. Wow, I don't know what's causing this to freak out, but sure, whatever. And then do another add node here. Add is commutative, so I don't care which one is A, which one's B. Then we can do combine. What? Combine. Actually, what am I even doing? Add. And then, CI components. What's that? UV4 material editor combine to vector. Head vector? Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, did I delete my... Okay. Do append. Vector here. Do add. Actually, let's do multiply add. That doesn't tell me anything. Actually, that won't work anyway because we're doing vectors. Yeah. What am I doing? I was hoping to be quicker because multiply out is one function. Sorry, one value, even though it won't really matter anyway because, well, yeah. So now we get the offset, then we're going to do a multiply node. Multiply by scalar. And then this should be our UV coordinate for that. Convert to 0, 1 based on voxel size. Okay, now we can grab all of these. What? Come on. Come on. Over there. Picky, huh? So now we got this. We should be able to, just to test, go here and go there. And save. And we should just have the normal map. Actually, probably even better to do this guy here. Be that. So if we use a cube, this axis aligned. Bingo, we have it tiling correctly regardless of which direction we use it on. We're going to do offset. Let's do 100. Oh, actually, I don't even know what our... What's our voxel says? 50. Oh, okay, so 25 would have been what I wanted to do then. Let's do 25. I even got the wrong one there. Let's do 50. So I believe it's this way it's going, so it should be, yeah, offset there, and then here this should affect horizontal, so we should make it axis aligned there. So 25 there. Now we're axis aligned there, and we are axis aligned there, so we should be axis aligned on all sides. Bingo. What happened there? Oh, maybe it's for 0. Absolute value. So we want to keep track of negative x as well, right? There we go, get that weird stretching thing. There we go. Good. So we converted from XYZ space into axis-aligned UVs. Again, we took advantage of the fact that we have axis-aligned values for voxels. Yeah. Now we just need to apply it to a material to it to make it look cool. So, oops. Oh, I missed Unreal Engine hosting me actually about 20 minutes ago. So we were, if you're just joining us, we are making a kind of a voxelized material. Sort of. More like this from Super Scope 6 to make our environment look kind of like this with this kind of backdrop to go with our current system here, because we're going to be replacing this, but it's basically like chess except on design levels. This is an 8x8 grid. One level is 64 by 64, another one is 11 by 11. Some tiles are disabled to make pathways and stuff like that. But we're trying to right now come up with an art style for that, so we'll see about that next time. But yeah, so we now have a conversion from XYZ coordinate to UV coordinates for axis-aligned voxels. So thanks for watching. I know it was a bit long and I was a bit scatterbrained there for a bit, but thanks for watching. See you next time.